Hello everyone, this is Bini R, Assistant Professor in CSE Department from Emmanuel Sir JJ College of Engineering. Today I am going to explain the topic Web Development Framework. Nowadays, almost every business, school, bank, hospital and company uses websites or web applications. Developing these applications from scratch can be difficult and time consuming. To solve this problem, developers use web development frameworks. Before understanding web development frameworks, we should first understand the meaning of the word framework. So, in web development, a framework is a pre-built structure or blueprint that provides a standardized foundation for building websites and applications. It offers a collection of reusable code, libraries, and tools that handle repetitive tasks like database management, user authentication, and page routing. So, developers don't have to write everything from scratch. So, a framework means a basic supporting structure or foundation used to build something. In real life, when engineers construct a building, they first create a structural framework. That framework supports the entire building. Similarly, in software development, a framework acts as a ready made structure that helps developers create applications easily. Instead of writing every line of code manually, developers use frameworks that already provide basic setup, rules, reusable functions, tools. This makes development faster and more organized. Let's move on to the next slide. Now we can see what is web development framework. A web development framework is a collection of tools, libraries, and pre-built code that helps you build sites and applications faster. Instead of writing common features from scratch, you work with a ready-made structure that handles routing, database access, authentication, and other repetitive tasks. So, a web development framework is a software framework specially designed for creating websites and web applications. It provides developers with pre written code, libraries, templates, security features, database connectivity, URL handling, authentication system. Using these built in features, developers can focus more on application functionality instead of basic coding tasks. For example, if a developer wants to create a login page without a framework, they must manually create authentication, database connection, session management, and security. With the framework, many of these features are already available. So, framework simplify the entire development process. Now we can move on to the next slide. Why web development frameworks are needed? The first one is faster development. Framework provides ready-made modules and functions, so the developers do not need to write repeated code again and again. This reduces development time significantly. So, example, login system, navigation, database connection. So, developers do not need to build everything from scratch. The next one is saves time and effort. Instead of writing hundreds of lines of code manually, frameworks provide built-in tools. This reduces the development time and repeated work. The next one is better code organization. The framework follows standard project structure. This makes code easy to understand, easy to debug, easy to maintain. Large companies especially record organized code because many developers work together on the same project. The next one is security. Security is one of the biggest advantages. Frameworks provide protection against common cyber attacks such as SQL injection, cross-site scripting, unauthorized access, password protection, form validation, etc. Now move on to the next slide. That is the fifth one is easy to maintenance. If a website needs updates later, frameworks make changes easier and safer. The next one is reusable components. Developers can reuse existing components instead of creating them again and again. Improves performance. Many frameworks are optimized for speed and efficiency. Now we can move on to the common types of frameworks. Web frameworks are generally divided into two main categories. The first one is front end and the next one is back end. Now we can discuss about front end frameworks. Front end frameworks are also called client side frameworks. These frameworks are used to develop the visible part of a website that users directly interact with. Everything users see on a web page is handled by front end technologies such as layouts, buttons, navigation menus, images, forms, animations, colors, interactive content. Front-end frameworks help developers create attractive, responsive, and dynamic user interfaces. The purpose of front-end frameworks. The main purpose of front-end frameworks is to improve the user experience. They help developers design web pages faster, create responsive website for mobile and desktop, update web page content dynamically without refreshing the page, reuse UI components. These frameworks reduce repetitive coding work. Common front-end frameworks. Some widely used front-end frameworks are React, Angular. Now we can see about the React. React was developed by Meta. It is one of the most popular front-end technologies. React uses reusable components, meaning developers can create one component and use it multiple times. Advantage of React are fast rendering, reusable components, easy maintenance, high performance. React is widely used in social media apps, e-commerce websites, single page applications. Now we can discuss about Angular. Angular was developed by Google. It is a complete front-end framework used for building large-scale applications. Angular provides routing, form handling, dependency injection, state management. The advantage of Angular are strong structure, good for enterprise applications, power built-in features. Now we can discuss about backend frameworks. Backend frameworks are also called server-side framework. These frameworks work behind the scenes and are not directly visible to users. Backend frameworks manage server logic, databases, user authentication, application processing, security, API communication. The purpose of backend framework are process user request, store and retrieve data, manage business logic, connect front-end application with databases, and also provides a secure applications. Common backend frameworks are Laravel, Express.js, Ruby, Django. Now we can discuss about Django. Django is a Python-based backend framework. It follows the principle don't repeat yourself. So it provides built-in authentication, database management, security protection, admin panel. The advantages are high security, fast development, clean project structure. Django is commonly used in educational platforms, content management systems, large-scale application. Now we can see about Laravel. Laravel is a PHP framework known for elegant and simple syntax. The features are routing, authentication, session management, database migration. The advantages are easy to learn and it provides strong security and also faster web development. Now we can see about Express.js. Express.js works with Node.js and is used for building APIs and web servers. The advantages are lightweight, flexible, fast server-side development. Now we can discuss based on the real-life example. When users log in to a website, the front end collects username and password. The backend framework receives the data. It checks the database. It verifies authentication. It returns the response to the user. This entire process is handled by backend frameworks. Now we can move on to the next slide. Framework versus library. So, what is a framework? A framework is a ready-made structure or foundation used to build applications. It provides rules, project structure, pre-written code, and development tools. A framework controls the overall flow of the application. When developers use a framework, they must follow the framework's architecture and rules. The important points are in a framework, the framework calls your code. This concept is called inversion of control. That means the framework decides when code should run, how components interact, how files are organized. Examples of frameworks are Django, Angular, Laravel. Let's see some example. Suppose we built a web application using Django. It provides folder structure, authentication system, database management, URL routing, security features. Developers must follow Django's predefined structure while developing the application. What is a library? A library is a collection of pre-written functions or reusable code that developers can use whenever needed. Unlike frameworks, libraries do not control the application flow. Instead, the developer calls the library when required. Libraries only perform specific tasks. The important points are in a library, your code calls the library. This means developers have full control over the application structure. The examples of library are popular libraries include React, jQuery, NumPy. Now see an example. Suppose developers want to create animation on a web page. Instead of writing complex animation code manually, they can use jQuery or React libraries. The developer decides when to use the library, where to use it, how to organize the project. So libraries provide flexibility. Main difference between framework and library are: the first one is control. The framework controls the program flow. In library, the developer controls the program flow. The next one is structure. Framework provide a fixed project structure. Developers must follow the framework rules. In library do not enforce structure. Developers can organize the project however they want. The next one is flexibility. In framework, less flexible because developers follow predefined architecture. In library, more flexible because developers choose how to use it. The scope. In frameworks, it usually provides complete solution for application development. In library, it usually solve specific task only. Development speed. In framework, speed up large scale development because many features are already built in. In library, save time for specific functionality but developers still manage overall architecture. So let's see an example based on the real life. A framework is like a ready-made house design. The structure is already planned: room positions, electrical systems, plumbing. You must build according to the design. Library analogy means a library is like a toolbox. You can pick any tool whenever you need it: hammer, screwdriver, wrench. You decide how and when to use each tool. So, framework provides complete structure. Library provides reusable tools. Today we have discussed about web development frameworks. I hope you understand the concept clearly. Let's meet in the next video. Thank you.